let me talk about the human key problem, how it relates to ZK identity and key creation. The issue is that human-friendly data is low entropy. There seems to be an inherent trade-off between how memorable some data is and how secure, like how random it is, right? Because obviously more memorable things are less random. More random things are less memorable. And in ZK identity, this poses a big issue. It poses a big issue in a number of places, but for this we'll focus mostly on ZK identity because nullifiers are still an unsolved problem. How to securely generate a nullifier to fully preserve privacy. Right now, there's no fully privacy-preserving way of creating nullifiers, and that's one thing we change with Mishi Network. So, if you are a ZK identity protocol, you want to generate a nullifier from, say, a name, birthday, address. You have like a few options. You can store the name, birthday, and address in plain text, but that's not like the most privacy preserving. You could store a hash of these, which is okay, but you can easily reverse that hash because like these have low entropy. You can just try a few different, well, more than a few different tries and eventually get it. And then there's another option that's become more popular recently with stuff like ZK Passport, which is to store the last 128 bits of the government signature. This keeps it private towards everybody except for the government, which is great for most use cases, but not not everyone. So, yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so one solution to this entropy issue that we built to solve some of these problems is the pseudorandom, well, oblivious pseudorandom function. So in a regular pseudorandom function, if you're not familiar, you are taking some input with some key. The input is not necessarily very random, very high entropy, but the key is, and then you're using this to output a high entropy pseudorandom value that can be used as a key. But for this to be useful in privacy-preserving use cases, we want oblivious property. So the oblivious pseudorandom function, pardon this kind of weird diagram, is similar. This is the 2-hash Diffie-Hellman oblivious pseudorandom function, where the user will hash their private input, whether it's like password or like name, date of birth, whatever, something that's low entropy. They'll hash it to a point in the elliptic curve. They'll multiply it by random mask R. And then the server will multiply that by their key. Then the client can unmask that, hash it again to get a final result, and now you have a pseudorandom function where every input to the server is completely masked. The server can never learn any information. There's information theoretic security against the server learning what the client's low entropy input is. And the server can be decentralized with standard threshold cryptography. So you can split the secret via Shamir secret sharing, where you do Lagrange interpolation. And the nice thing is that with this method, each node in the network can act as if they're a single node. Like it's completely asynchronous. They don't need to know there are other nodes in the network to do a single computation because they're actually just doing like one multiplication. They're doing one elliptic curve point by scalar multiplication, where they're multiplying their secret scalar by the elliptic curve point. So like the client can then just query all these individually, reconstruct as if they, as if it got it from one node with one shared secret using Lagrange interpolation. This still leaves one problem, which is how to find faulty nodes. And then for this, you can use very special purpose, efficient zero-knowledge proofs, discrete log equality proofs, no need for snarks. And this can prove that nodes are, without this, one node might be able to get away with changing the result, and you can't track which node actually changed the result. This gives accountability to the nodes so you can see if somebody changed the result. And it has like super nice properties. So communication with any individual node is O of 1 because it doesn't care how many other nodes there are. And this can be easily parallelized. The more nodes there are, you just send parallel queries to them. So it scales super well. Very quick computation. You just have to do discrete log quality proof. And there are some cool anti-collusion properties as well, where, I mean, with any threshold network, there's an issue of collusion. But since the math is so like clean and linearly homomorphic, you can actually have this concept of what we're calling a semi-trusted node. This is, it could be a node or even a network itself, operates completely independently of this network. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this. This is called MIST network. We've implemented this as an AVS on eigenlayer. I probably should have showed that earlier, but you can run like an independent node where if MIST network were to collude, this node can make sure that if you're splitting the node between the key between that node and the network, then the network colludes. It's still fine as long as the node is also not corrupt. And this node can itself be a new network. Because everything is asynchronous, it does not need any communication with the network. So there's some cool emergent collusion resistance properties. Oops, that is these slides were stolen from Louis, who is a cryptographer on our team, who helped implement this. I guess that's the last slide. But the actual last slide somehow didn't make it in here. But please do check us out on MIST.network if you're interested in this oblivious pseudorandom function and its use cases for ZK identity. It also has use cases for wallets, such as Silk, which is our wallet that's a new paradigm for onboarding to improve like security and self-custody, and making sure that once people are onboarded, they can actually have real use cases and like more aligned with like Web3 cypherpunk values instead of just giving away your stuff to a Google account. And then we also use it for zero-knowledge identity, of course, which is what this talk was about, with our zero-nym protocol. And you can find out about all of our work, all of our protocols on holonym.id. That's HOLONYM.id, or follow us on Twitter, holonym.